Hey everybody, this is TJR. Last week I put out a video where I reacted to the trailer for the motion picture Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a biopic about the band Queen, but mostly is being advertised as a biopic about Freddie Mercury. Now in that video I talked about some of the development issues that film has had over the years, how Sacha Baron Cohen was originally going to play Freddie Mercury, how he departed over creative differences, and how he has stated in interviews that he wanted the movie to be an R-rated film. And now I've done a little more research and have seen the interview clip that he did with Howard Stern, where he mentions that he wanted the film to focus more on the extremeness of Freddie Mercury's lifestyle. After releasing this video, there were a number of comments left where individuals expressed that they wished we could have gotten this R-rated film, and other commenters stating things like, well, the band is trying to protect their brand. This got me to thinking, would an R-rated version of this film be a good thing or not? Would it be a better thing? I started doing a little bit of research. I watched the video clip of Sacha Baron Cohen on the Howard Stern show, and where he talks about how he wanted the film to explore more of his extreme lifestyle. And that a member of Queen said to him, well, an incredible thing happens in this movie. Freddie Mercury dies of AIDS halfway through the film, and then the rest of it is about the band carrying on without him. And that he told them nobody wants to see that. I want to pause and comment on that for a moment. As respectful as I've always heard Brian May and Roger Taylor, who are the only two original members still carrying on as Queen right now, as respectful as I've always heard them speak about Freddie Mercury when they do talk about him publicly, I have some skepticism believing that they would actually say something like, an amazing thing happens in this film, or a great thing happens in this film. Halfway through, Freddie dies, and then we see how the band carries on. I have a hard time quite feeling they said it in quite that way. I also then found a video where another YouTube creator commented on this and agreed with this idea that nobody cares about the rest of the band, nobody really wants to see a film where Freddie dies in the middle and the rest of the band carries on from there, that's not a story anybody wants to see. And at the end, he also stated that this went against Freddie Mercury's own wishes, that he had made a statement before dying that, do whatever you want with my music, but just don't make me boring. I did a little bit of research into this. Freddie Mercury is reported to have said to his manager in his last days, do anything you want with my music, dear, but never make me boring. So the key word, it's reported he said this, but we don't have any real confirmation that he actually did say this. So I think it's kind of presumptuous to assume that in fact this is what he really said without something more concrete, in my personal opinion. Now, as far as whether or not no one wants to see a movie where Freddie Mercury dies in the middle and then we see how the band carries on without him, that may very well be true. It all depends, once again, like everything else, how it's done. There's no such thing as a bad movie idea. There's only a badly executed idea. And I've seen great ideas executed badly. And I've seen ideas that would make you scratch your head and said, really, you're going to do that? Executed wonderfully. Now, as far as this whole idea that no one cares about what happens after Freddie Mercury dies, it could turn out that nobody realizes or knows that they would care until they actually hear the story. But if you look at the actual official release of the trailer on YouTube and you read the information about the trailer under More Info, it states that the film will cover the early days of the band. It will cover the time period where Freddie Mercury shunned the band and went off onto a solo career, and then how he reunited with the band, and will end with their performance at Live Aid. Now, I'm sure the film will also, of course, touch on his passing as well, but it doesn't sound like, from that description at least, that the film is going to have this whole second half where it talks about the band without him. Now, if the film does in fact do then the film's marketing and advertising is heavily misrepresenting the movie. But I get the feeling that's not going to happen. Of course, it is possible that they're completely misrepresenting the movie. It is possible that it will be exactly as we're hearing, that halfway through Freddie Mercury dies and the other half is about the band. And it could end up that the whole film ends up being spectacular, much to everybody's surprise. By the way, at this moment, I want to apologize for a mistake I made in that last video. I mentioned that Queen's performance at Live Aid was the last performance with Freddie Mercury before his passing. I was completely wrong about that. I was going off my memory, which at my age can be faulty. My apologies. I should have researched that more. I didn't. I just, for some reason, went off memory. And so being a lot more careful this time and making sure I do my research. Thank you, everybody out there, for keeping me honest. Getting back to the whole no one cares about the rest of the band, well, that's not true. Serious fans of Queen do care about the rest of the band. We realize that Freddie Mercury, as amazingly talented as he was still only 1/4 of this band. All 4 of these band members created a synergy that only existed with the 4 of them working together. All 4 of them contributed to the songwriting. All 4 of them contributed to the lead vocals. Here's an example. You're My Best Friend was written by bassist John Deacon. So was Another One Bites the Dust. Without bassist John Deacon, those 2 hit songs would not exist. I could go on, but hopefully that one little example gives you an idea. And that's why in my last video I said one of my concerns about making a Freddie Mercury biopic is that the rest of the band would be ignored. But once I learned that the remaining members of Queen were involved and were producers, I felt confident that that wasn't going to happen. And even if it is a Freddie Mercury biopic specifically, I do want to see that the other band members are acknowledged. And I think casual music fans and casual Queen fans should realize this and that the film should address this. I think it's only proper. Freddie Mercury is the one that the general public, the casual fans, are aware of because he was the person front and center. He was the lead singer for the most part, but he didn't always sing the lead vocals. And he was the flamboyant one. He was an amazing talent, but it was all 4 of them who created and arranged that amazing music that we know them for. Now, as far as this back and forth of, well, an R-rated version would definitely be better than a PG-13 version, that's pretty subjective. There are pros and cons to both. In his interview, Sacha Baron Cohen said that he wanted to explore Freddie Mercury's extreme lifestyle. So I have to ask myself, how important is that to understanding the band and its music? And even if I narrow the scope, I could also say, how important is that to understanding Freddie Mercury and his music? I think that if I had to choose between a film that centers more on the extremeness of his lifestyle versus his musical creation, his musical genius, I would pick the latter. I'd rather know more about that. And I'm not sure really how much the extreme decadence of his life played into the music that the entire band created. If you think it's important or you want to make a film that centers on the R-rated aspects of his lifestyle, and I have to also consider the fact that maybe the band also took part in a decadent lifestyle during this time, it's important to consider, well, why? Why are you focusing on it? Is it because you want to make a salacious movie and you want to titillate? Or is it because you feel that this, in a very important way, plays into both Freddie Mercury and the band's musical creations? I have a feeling that it really doesn't play that much into it. So once again, why is that important? I would rather have a movie that gives me insight into the musical brilliance of both the band and Freddie Mercury, as opposed to a movie that explores their decadence. And again, I want to make clear, I'm not ruling out the idea that an R-rated movie would be bad. It could be great too. Both ways could be great. Once again, it's all in the execution. I would also like to see a film that gives the general public audience that is not musically educated some kind of a sense of just how technically accomplished everybody in the band Queen was, and those surviving members still are. I think that for a lot of the general public, they just kind of think that talent is just this thing that, bing, you're just born with, you wake up with it in the morning. I would like to see a film like this in some way give a sense to, like I said, the general public, an idea of just how much hard work it is to be as good as a band like Queen was. And also one final thing I want to add. This doesn't have to be the last Queen-related biopic that we ever see. Other filmmakers may take up the mantle of making another film, whether it's approved by the band or not approved, whether they get to use the music or not. Other films can be made, and more than likely will be. The universe of motion pictures is full of possibilities. So what do you think? As always, I'm always interested in reading your comments and getting your feedback. And as always, if you haven't clicked subscribe, please do so. Click like and share the video with your friends. And of course, please click notifications so you can know when I release new videos. Thanks everybody for watching. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.